Hi folks, today we're going to be looking at the brand new THL 2015, which is the new flagship smartphone from one of our favorite brands, THL. It's got a nice set of specs coming with it really. It's an octa-core 1.7 gigahertz with Android 4.4 on it. It comes with a 5-inch screen, 1080 full HD, 1080 by 1920, 2 gigabytes of RAM, full 4G, that's 4G LTE, and also on the back here you'll see a fingerprint sensor. So yes, it has fingerprint security on it, which is pretty slick. 13 megapixel rear camera Sony, which is extrapolated up to 18 megapixels, and an 8 megapixel front camera, again Sony, for superb selfies, I assume. I don't know, it gets a bit ridiculous when your selfies are better than most people's standard standard photos. Bluetooth 4, OTG and dual SIM, 2700 milliamp hour battery as well. So let's just take a look at the box, shall we? So inside the box what you get is quick start guide, little nice little screen protector. Again, as typical with THL, nicely designed, nicely set up user guide in English, I would say. The separate battery, micro USB, headset, power block. Very standard, but nice. I mean, the thing is with THL, one of the things we like about it is they're not revolutionary. You won't find, you know, phenomenal design specifications out of their handsets, but they're very, very robust, very solid phone. I mean, and I don't mean that in a horrible sense. I mean, you can rely on a THL to just keep working, basically. You know, the ones we've tested, we've dropped them and mistreated them, and they just keep going. This new one is hopefully no exception. If I just take the back off, you'll see twin SIMs, the micro SIM there, and the other one fits underneath, and then that's the microSD slot. This 2700 milliamp hour battery, we're finding it gives about a day and a half, which is really adequate. Again, if you use it heavily, that will suffer, of course, but under standard kind of use, it's perfectly adequate for giving you definitely a good day's worth of power. No problems with the GPS lock-on. We're finding with 4G on board, it helps these MediaTeks really cope with locking on the satellites very quickly, so there's no problem with that at all, which is great news for those who've had trouble with MediaTek in the past. And so that means the sat nav is also extremely stable, which is really nice. Let's just run through and have a look at, just to give you a proof of the operating system. It's Android 4.4.4. So there you go. It's again up to date. Most of these phones are not running 5 yet for obvious reasons. As far as the actual operating system and apps, it's perfectly standard. Again, another feature of THLs, they don't play around with anything. You tend to get a very standard sort of system. So you get, you know, a standard gallery included, no bells and whistles. It'll just be a standard implementation, and all the usual, you know, Google Play Store is quite happy to run on here, and there's no problem at all. So there's no real surprises with a THL handset, I have to say, which is kind of nice. And here's a comparison between one of our older favorites, the THL 5000 here on the left, and the new 2015 on the right. The 5000, of course, is hampered, or benefited if you like, by this massive 5000 milliamp hour battery inside, which gives it a bit more bulk in terms of thickness. But apart from that, they're fairly similar. The whole form factor is slightly more hand friendly, I think, on the new phone than the 5000. But then again, you don't get 3 days battery life out of the 2015, but hey, horses for courses. To set up the fingerprint system is fairly easy. You just switch it on, and then you have to set up a pattern. Obviously, if you want to set up a pattern to make sure that if you can't get your fingerprint accepted, that you can actually get into your phone, which is quite valuable, I suspect. And then you really have to press the acquisition and choose whichever hand and whichever finger you want. So you can choose left or right, and simply select and do the acquisition, which is basically just do your swiping across the actual fingerprint. So it builds up a pattern after a period of time, tells you if you've got enough, it's succeeded, and then you can actually set up a application fingerprint lock, which is quite cool if you want to do that. We're not going to do that right now, so we've got the right hand set up. So if I turn it off and then turn it on, I have to doing this with one hand on an angle is pretty useless, so I can either use I've got another lock on the other finger. Let's try the other finger if it's easier with the left hand. The thing I found is what you have to do is to do a full swipe on it. There you go. So you have to really give it a full swipe, otherwise it doesn't take it. Let's try it again. There you go. So it does take a bit of getting used to, but I think that's the same with every fingerprint system. As you can see, I'm getting through it much quicker now. I'm getting used to it. So that's how you set up the fingerprints. Anyway, moving on. So the Antutu benchmark runs at 38,995. I've seen it up to 40 or so. So it's hovering around that kind of an area, which is fast. What does that mean in games? Let's run up a game, shall we? So here we are with Asphalt 8 running in full glory. As you can see, the 1.7 gigahertz processor is more than up to handling the graphics, although it's not up to handling my pretty pathetic driving, I have to say. I apologize. Oh, there you go, that's a bit better. Maybe I should brake or something. Gordon Bennett. Whoa, there's a jump. Ow. Yeah, you're getting all the lens flare and all the nice bits, and it's a pretty stonking frame rate. Yeah, it'll do it. Again, as you'd expect with this kind of power, you're getting a pretty seamless experience when you're browsing as well. Let's switch off Wi-Fi and see what happens. See if I can get as good a result through the 3G, 4G experience here. Although we haven't got a great signal, I apologize for that. So this is without Wi-Fi, and I haven't cached this or anything, so we're just paging straight in through 4G. Yeah, that'll do. Again, as you'd expect, a very standard THL camera interface. No messing around. No, maybe 13 megapixels or whatever, but it's going to give you a very, very standard experience when you're taking shots. I'll post again some example photos so you can check, but the quality's pretty darn good. Okay, so that's the THL 2015. Really nice, the first of the 4G handsets to come out of the THL stable after quite a gap actually. They've been quite quiet for a while. Very nice phone indeed. Nice form factor, not too thick and bulky. Nothing amazing in the design stakes, but love the idea you got fingerprint security on there as standard. A nice size battery to give you at least a day and a half of usage time, and a great screen, an HD screen, which is fabulous. There you go, the THL 2015. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more cool stuff like this. Thanks very much.